Okay guys, I'm in downtown Houston. It's 5 a.m. I'm supposed to be here at 5:15, but we're here. Hi guys, welcome to another episode of My Sister's House TV. Today I'm going to be talking to you about my experience at MEPS. MEPS is Military Entrance Processing Station. So basically it's where you go before you can qualify to get into the military. So everyone has to go through MEPS. It's basically where you take your ASVAB test, or if you're going to be an officer, you would take your, I think it's AFOQT, something like that. And then you do your physicals, you do some like training, some physical training. Yeah, it's just basically the process of you getting into the military before you actually go to the military, seeing if you qualify, if you don't have anything wrong with you, if you can pass a test, you can do the basic things required of you in order to become a serviceman. So the first thing that I would say about MEPS is it is very early. It is all day. So block off your whole day. I took off. It starts at 5 a.m. in the morning. It actually starts at 5:15, but in the military, you want to get everywhere super quickly or early. So get there 15 minutes early. So I got there at 5 a.m. I am from Houston. I live in Houston. So I was lucky enough to be able to just drive downtown and park. Parking was $16. Please make sure that you remember your $16 and that you remember that you have to pay to park, because there was a kid that came and he was like, I don't have any money, can you pay for me? I'll cash app you, blah, blah, blah. Took my phone number, and he actually got shipped off to basic the same day. So I never actually got my money. But yeah, so you get there at 5 o'clock. You stand in line outside of the building until they come outside and brief you around 5:30, 5:15. And they tell you what you're gonna be doing as you walk in. So it's a federal building most of the time, so you can't have weapons. So make sure you are not like me and bring a weapon to a federal building, because I could have gotten arrested. They tell you though to throw things away like drugs, alcohol, anything like that. And it was super embarrassing having to walk to the trash can to throw away my pocket knife, my favorite pocket knife. I was really sad about that, but you know, it is what it is. Another thing to be aware of, I'm 27. I'm going to the Air National Guard. I was not expecting so many 17, 18-year-olds. I don't know why. I mean, it's pretty obvious most people go into the military at that age, but I felt very old hearing people say that they were born in 2000, 2001, 2002. And I'm like, what? But you know, it is what it is. I'm old now, so I gotta just live with that. But so they brief you basically on what you're gonna be experiencing as you walk in. So since it's COVID, everyone has to have a mask on. They put everyone in line. You're filling out a quarantine paper. So it was about, I think I would say it's about 100 of us. More than 2/3 of that was shipping off to basic that day. So they split us up. After we filled out that paperwork, you fill out the paperwork. It basically says that you've quarantined for 2 weeks and that you don't have COVID and that you've not come in contact with anybody who has COVID. You haven't been outside of the state or your city. And then you do a temperature check. You write down your temperature check and your name, and then you go through the metal detectors. They put your bags in there. You go upstairs, and they're only letting about, I don't know if this is everywhere, but in Houston, they're only letting 3 people into the elevator at a time. So it took a while for us to get upstairs, go to the control room, check in, take your picture. I don't know what they're using that picture for. Hopefully it's not my military ID later on down the line, but they take your picture and fingerprint you, and then you get to go in. So when you go in, you have to check your bags and your cell phone. So you're not going to be able to have your phone the whole day. And if you carry a purse, you're not going to have your purse. If you brought a bag, backpack, all that stuff's going to be put in a room. Now, the key to this, do not bring anything valuable to MEPS, okay? That's going to be my takeaway, because like I said, I'm 27, so I was walking around with a Louis Vuitton bag, and everybody else was walking around with these JanSport backpacks. And yeah, they don't really lock your stuff away. They just put it in a cubby hole, and with a tag and nobody's watching it. So if you have anything valuable, I would not take it. If it's a cell phone, I would put it in like a pocket of a backpack or something like that. If you have locks for your stuff, I mean, I don't know if people would steal, but who knows? It just was not a very secure lock room for bags or whatever. So pay attention to that. So after you lock your bags and you go to another briefing and they tell you exactly what's going to happen for the day, depending on who you are, what you're trying to do. So for the most part, most people are going to go in, they're going to go take a breathalyzer test because you cannot drink. I think it's like 24 to 48 hours before you take a breathalyzer test. They send you to take your testing if you need to take an ASVAB test or whatever test you're taking if you're going to be officer, whatever, a retest, a confirmation test, whatever. After your breathalyzer test, you take the ASVAB. The ASVAB is about 2 to 3 hours. So, tell you a mistake that I made. I didn't want to sit in that test for 2 or 3 hours and have to use the bathroom. So I used the bathroom before I took my test. I hadn't had anything to eat or drink. So when I finished my test and I went to medical and I had to pee, I couldn't pee because I had already peed. So make sure that you just hold it. You just gotta suffer through it. The test really doesn't take 2 or 3 hours. That's how much time they allot you. I don't really remember how long it took me. I took, for the Air Force, you take the ASVAB, you take a TAPAS, I think that's what it's called, test, which is like your personality test, I believe. And then you take I think it's a computer test that basically shows you how well you work on computers and like the internet and like Microsoft systems and things of that nature. So you take 2 extra tests for the Air Force. So I would say it probably took me maybe like an hour and a half. I ended up scoring an 87. I needed a 72 for the jobs that I wanted. So I pretty much qualified for every entry level job, I think, except one of them. I'll be doing a whole separate video on ASVAB, so I won't get too much into that. After the test, you go immediately to medical. You take your paperwork down to medical, and it's different stations in there. They're going to do a few things. They're going to test your hearing. So you're going to go into a booth, and they're going to do hearing tests on both ears. And then you're going to do a vision test. And if for me, I had 20/20 vision on both eyes, so they gave me 3 specialized tests that I passed also to make sure that I had really good vision to do other specialized jobs because my scores qualified me for those jobs. So I had to qualify for those via vision also. And then you do blood work and urine. So be aware that when you do your urine test, there's going to be a nurse in there with you. So you are not going to have any privacy. If you planned on using fake pee or whatever, not going to happen. The door is open. If there are any doors on the stalls, or if they let you even go into a stall, they are watching you pee into a cup. And there's a nurse aide that's in a window waiting for you to take your pee and put it into the window also. So you're not alone. Like I said, I couldn't pee. So it's awkward, me standing there trying to fill up a cup this big with pee and I couldn't do it. And then everybody knowing that I couldn't pee. I was pretty much the only girl at this point, and actually was the only girl. And I was just, everybody was waiting for me. They were actually upset because I was holding them up from lunch. And I had drank maybe 4 bottles of water at this point. I still couldn't use the bathroom. And they actually told me to stop drinking water because it was possible that I would throw up from so much water. And then having to do like the little agility stuff right after that. So, yeah, I ended up finally peeing. And when I peed, there was 3 people in there because they were trying to make sure that I got enough pee out for them to be able to do the test they needed to do. So they use your urine for drug testing and pregnancy. So that was a big thing too. They want to make sure as a woman that you are not pregnant, okay? Because it was taking me so long to use the bathroom, one of the nurses suggested that I just move on to the agility part. And the doctors were like, no, there's no way. It's against policy. We're not going to have her do anything physical if she's pregnant, because then we will be held accountable for if she has a miscarriage or something happens to her baby or she gets hurt, blah, blah, blah. So they want to make sure that you are not pregnant. So you have to pee before you do anything past you know, the vision, blood work, that kind of stuff. So I got my blood work done. They just take one sample, one tube. It doesn't hurt. I don't know how people feel about blood or anything like that, but for me, I don't mind it. So it's really quick. Okay, so then you have a physical part of it. The physical part is awkward. Okay, it's a little weird. So one, they make sure that you have on proper undergarments. Okay, you can't have on a sports bra, I don't think. You can't have on sheer underwear, sheer bra. You need to have on a full coverage bra, full coverage underwear, so briefs, no thongs. You need to have boy shorts on. So I had on boy shorts and I had a full bra on, because they're gonna make you strip down to your underwear and your bra. Wear socks also, because floors are dirty in COVID. So they're gonna make you do that, and they're gonna you keep your mask on, and they're gonna ask you to do a lot of various things. So it's gonna be a nurse and it's gonna be a doctor, and they're gonna ask you to do a lot of different tests to make sure that your fingers work, that your toes work, that you can move. That why they make you take your clothes off is to make sure that there's nothing wrong with your legs or feet or joints whenever you're moving. So there's points when they make you do stuff like this, and you do your fingers like this, and your hands over your head, and you're doing like jumps, and you're gonna do like some squats and stuff like that. They make you run across the room, which is really awkward because the room's not that big. So they make you run back and forth across the room, do some duck walks on your tippy toes, some like single leg deadlifts. It's just like them seeing if you can balance, if there's like making sure there's nothing wrong with you or your joints or your body, and that you can perform the basic physical needs to be a serviceman or woman. So then they do your weight. That was my biggest struggle. That's why I have been missing, because I've been trying to lose weight. I had to lose X amount of pounds in 2 weeks to get hit the weight requirement for them. So the Air Force is actually really lenient. I had to be 150 pounds. I was about 2 to 3 pounds under that, but they said I barely made it, and I was like, whatever. But for like services like the Navy and the Army, I would have had to be 135, and I don't know how I would have got from 160 to 135 in 2 weeks. I don't know. I don't even think that's possible. But luckily, I'm joining the Air Force. So they do that, they do your height, they do your weight. I thought they were gonna do like actual tape like on your waist. So I was really big on doing workouts and eating foods that made sure that my waist was small and that like my midsection was smaller. But they didn't do that. So and they also just kind of gave me a pass, because technically I'm 5'1.5", which I think is a lie personally. But they did my height, and I was 5'1.5", and I have been working to be the weight for 5'2", which is 150 pounds, and the weight for 5'1" is 145. So I was in the middle. Luckily, my weight was also in the middle, and they were like, "You barely made it." So even though there's a waiver for everything, I don't know why they were tripping, but whatever. She ended up going to the doctor and like asking if it was okay that I was 5'1" and 147, and the doctor was like, "Yes, it's fine." So yeah, so after you do your physical, you do your blood work, they do your pregnancy test in front of you, which is kind of a scary thing. And then they do your drug test in front of you also. They take your, I missed the part, they take your fingerprints whenever you're at the front control desk, because they do a background check through the FBI. So there is a questionnaire that you do during your briefing that asks you if you've ever been arrested, do you have any tickets, have you ever been suspended, have you ever been fired, have you ever been this. Don't lie, because I think the FBI will find out. And if they find out that you were lying, whether it be something minor, like when I was in 6th grade, I got suspended from school because I got into a fight. If you lie about it, you're not honorable anymore. You aren't trustworthy, and then they're gonna hold that to you. So, yeah, don't lie about that. But yeah, after medical, it's pretty much it. You go to lunch, And what that is you go to the control desk to check in with them after medical, and they have a sack lunch, which is usually like a turkey sandwich, which is mostly bread, and then all the snacks you can think of. So they got chips and cookies and sodas and juice and water and Nutri-Grain bars and all kind of little snacks and goodies for you can get as many as you want to. I smashed, not gonna lie to you. That sandwich was dry as hell, but I ate it, and I ate all those snacks because I hadn't eaten. I've been there since 5 o'clock. It was about 2 o'clock. I was ready to eat. I hadn't had any. I had water from that test, but I hadn't really consumed anything since the day before around 7 o'clock in the evening. So I was hungry, okay? So I smashed on that, and I went to my serviceman after that to check in and give him my packet. And there was one more part that my recruiter didn't tell me about, and that was that I had to do a cleaning press to qualify for more jobs. She was like, yeah, I totally forgot about that. But yeah, so they're going to have you, there's a machine. It's not like you're not actually doing it on like a bar or anything, but they have a machine that you can do where you are cleaning, pressing, and you're gonna, I think it starts at like 40 pounds, and it might go up for women to 110. So I maxed out on that because I was like, look at me. But I maxed out on that, and I qualified for all the jobs that was necessary for that part. And that was it. He took my paperwork. He told me to call my recruiter, and that was it. It's different for different people at MEPS, but for me, that was pretty much my process. I went there, tested great, did medical went smoothly. Did my physical test, and every service has different tests. So I think like the Marines and the Navy and the Army, they do like chin-ups or pull-ups and like that. Not a thing for me. I'm not doing that. No, these are not pull-up appropriate, okay? We're not doing that. So I picked the perfect service, okay? But yeah, leave me comments below if you have any questions. If you want to know more about my ASVAB testing, how I prepare for that. I'm going to be doing a video on how I lost weight for the for MEPS. I'm going to do a video on the ASVAB test and how I study for that, and the recruiting process, so officer versus enlisted, and things of that nature. So make sure that you like, share, subscribe this video, and if you have any questions or comments, leave them. Thank you.